Imagine digging a well, and instead of water, you pull up something you think could be a dinosaur bone.
Wow.
Yeah, that near discovery in Canada is where our really fascinating story begins today. It's a tale of a fossil that took quite the journey to be understood.
That's right. And this isn't just about, a simple misidentification. It's really about how our understanding of ancient life evolves over time.
Hmm.
We're diving into the story of this single jawbone, initially named Bethignathus borealis. But now we recognize it as Dimetrodon borealis.
Dimetrodon, the sailback.
Yes, exactly. A northern cousin of that famous sail-backed creature.
Dimetrodon in Canada. Okay, let's unpack this for a moment. So you might have heard the term mammal-like reptile.
Right. Synapsids.
Exactly, synapses, those creatures, the lineage that eventually led to us, to mammals. And our mission today, drawing from the details on the Dimetrodon borealis Wikipedia page, is to explore the twists and turns in identifying this Canadian fossil and, why it's such a significant piece of the prehistoric puzzle.
Absolutely. This one fossil reveals a lot about the whole process of scientific discovery and, well, reinterpretation. It all starts way back in the 1840s.
So picture Prince Edward Island, maybe around 1845. A fellow named Donald MacLeod is digging a well in the Springbrook area.
Okay.
And instead of just striking water, he pulls up this fossil. It came from a layer of shale within red sandstone. Now, these red rocks initially threw some people off, didn't they?
Oh, they definitely did. You see, the red sandstone looked quite similar to rocks from the Triassic period over in the UK.
Oh, okay.
So this led early researchers to, well, incorrectly place the Canadian rocks in the same time frame. And this initial misdating, it had pretty big implications for understanding the fossil's age and its identity.
Right, that makes sense. But thankfully, a Canadian geologist, John William Dawson, he recognized this was more than just, another rock. He saw something important there and brought it to the attention of Joseph Leidy, who was a very well-known American paleontologist at the time.
And Leidy, in 1854, he looked at the fossil and made his first call. He identified it as a lower jaw from a dinosaur.
A dinosaur.
Yeah, think about that. This is the very first supposed dinosaur found in Canada.
Wow.
And only the second in all of North America.
Yeah.
It's a pretty monumental claim back then.
Huge news. And Leidy gave it a formal name, too.
He did. Bethignathus borealis.
Bethignathus borealis.
Which is Greek for northern deep jaw. It references the height of the jaw itself and its Canadian origin. Sounds quite official.
Very official and very dinosaur-like, I suppose.
It does. And Leidy even compared Bethignathus to the Dinosaurus.
Oh, right.
Which was an early dinosaur described from those Triassic rocks back in the UK.
Yeah.
So this comparison really kind of solidified that initial idea of a Triassic dinosaur from Canada.
And Dawson, the geologist who found it, well, who recognized it, he had his own ideas.
He did. He pictured it as a fast-moving carnivore. He figured its deep skull looks more like, say, a speedy snake than a slow crocodile.
Huh. You can almost picture him thinking about this creature zipping around.
Indeed. And, the local interpretation got even more colorful later on in the late 1800s.
Oh.
There was a local naturalist, Francis Bain, who really leaned into the dinosaur idea. He described it as a deep-jawed monster capable of these incredible leaps to catch its prey.
A leaping monster. Quite the dramatic image.
Very dramatic.
Quite a contrast to what we know now, though. Oh. So what was the trigger? What changed the understanding? How did this supposed Canadian dinosaur end up being, well, something else entirely?
Well, the first major correction came in 1876. It was from the English paleontologist Richard Owen.
Okay.
He re-examined Leidy's findings and realized the fossil wasn't a lower jaw at all.
Not a lower jaw.
No, it was an upper jaw.
Yeah.
Specifically a maxilla.
Yeah.
And that was a pretty fundamental shift in how the fossil was viewed.
Okay, upper jaw, not lower. But still maybe a dinosaur, right?
Well, not for long. The real turning point came in 1905. An American paleontologist, E.C. Case, took another look.
Right.
And he spotted crucial similarities between this Canadian fossil and a group called paleontology. Those mammal-like reptiles we mentioned.
Oh, the synapsids again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And specifically, he noted how much it resembled the Dimetrodon genus, which, had been discovered down in Texas in the 1870s.
Texas and Prince Edward Island, that's quite a distance.
It really is.
So this dinosaur was actually closer to those sailback creatures from way down south. That really changes the picture of where these animals lived.
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
It suggested their range was much wider than initially thought. And that connection only got stronger over time. In 1940, Alfred Romer and Llewellyn Ivor Price, in a big study on pelycosaurs, even suggested that Bistignathus and Dimetrodon might actually be the same thing, synonyms.
So what's really fascinating here is this timing. Bathygnithus was found first, right? Decades before Dimetrodon.
That's correct.
But it turned out to be part of a group, this Phenacodontidae family, that we only really started to understand after Dimetrodon was found in Texas. So this Canadian fossil was actually the first member of that whole family, the family Dimetrodon, belongs to ever unearthed. It's like finding the first piece of a puzzle, but not knowing what the picture is until much later.
That's a great way to put it. It's a crucial detail. And when you look closely at the features of the actual fossil, the Dimetrodon borealis maxilla in its teeth, the connection becomes crystal clear.
Okay, what features are we talking about?
Well, the teeth are long, they curve backward slightly, and they have this very distinctive teardrop shape.
Teardrop shape.
Yeah, widest in the middle, sort of like a stretched out water droplet. It's quite unusual, and it's a real telltale sign of this Phenacodontidae family, probably related to how they processed food.
Interesting. So that specific shape is a key identifier.
It's a very strong one. Plus, the shape of the maxilla bone itself indicated a deep skull.
Ah, like Dawson originally noted, but for different reasons.
Kind of, yeah. It's a feature shared with advanced phenacodontids like Dimetrodon. And just like other Dimetrodon species, this fossil showed evidence of an enlarged caniform tooth near the front.
Like a big fang.
Sort of, yeah. An
Mhm.
early version of one.
Mhm.
A larger prominent tooth right at the front, likely for grabbing and holding prey.
Okay, so years of analysis, finding other fossils, looking closely at these specific features, it all pointed towards Dimetrodon. But this name, Bathygnithus, it had been around for a long time, hadn't it? Over a century by then.
It had. And this leads us to well, a somewhat unusual situation in paleontology. What do you do when an older name exists for an animal that you later realize belongs to a more famous group with a newer name?
Right, a naming debate. I can imagine things getting pretty heated in the world of scientific names sometimes.
They certainly can. In this case, researchers from the University of Toronto, Mississauga, Carleton University, and the Royal Ontario Museum did a study in 2015. And they formally reclassified the species, put it right into the Dimetrodon genus. But, that formal paper didn't automatically erase the original name.
Right, because scientifically the rule is usually first come, first served for names, isn't it? The first valid name usually takes precedence. Bathygnithus technically had seniority.
Exactly, the principle of priority.
Right.
So to resolve this, and frankly prevent a lot of confusion, especially given how well-known Dimetrodon is, scientifically and even publicly.
So everyone knows the sailback.
Right. So the researchers submitted a formal request, a petition, to the International Commission on Zoological Nomenclature. That's the ICZN.
The naming authorities.
Yep. That was in 2015. And the goal was basically to conserve the genus name, Dimetrodon, and officially suppress the older name, Bathygnithus.
And did it work?
It did. In 2019, the ICZN approved the petition. So Bathygnithus borealis was officially renamed Dimetrodon borealis. It's kind of like a scientific tidying up exercise, really, to ensure clarity.
That makes sense.
Yeah, the main reason for decisions like this is usually to maintain stability, avoid widespread confusion. Imagine if suddenly Tyrannosaurus rex had to be called something else because someone found an older, obscure tooth.
Okay, yeah, I see the problem. Chaos. So the journey of this single partial jawbone, Dimetrodon borealis now, Bathygnithus originally, it's been quite a ride.
Quite a ride indeed.
From a surprise find in a Canadian well to being called the country's first dinosaur, and then finally being recognized as, well, a northern member of the iconic Dimetrodon.
A journey spanning, what, about 270 million years for the animal itself back in the early middle Permian period?
Wow.
And then over 150 years of human scientific investigation trying to figure it out.
And it's really remarkable that this one sort of incomplete jawbone is so important for understanding just how widely distributed these early synapsids were. A tiny clue telling a much bigger story about life way before the dinosaurs.
Absolutely. And it's worth remembering, too, tracks have also been found on Prince Edward Island. Footprints. Yeah, potentially made by Dimetrodon or, a very similar animal. This suggests they weren't just a rare one-off thing up there. They likely had a more significant presence in that region.
Huh. So it really makes you wonder, doesn't it, how many other stories like this are maybe hidden away in museum drawers or still buried out there? How many seemingly settled scientific facts might just be waiting for, I don't know, another chance discovery or a fresh look to completely reshape our understanding?
That's the exciting part, isn't it? It really underscores that science is this ongoing process of exploration and discovery.
What other known facts might just get overturned down the line? Makes you think.
It does. It's a constant process of discovery and refinement. Yeah, one fascinating fossil at a time.